Spring of 1945. Patton's Third Army was cutting through southern Germany and Austria, liberating concentration camps as they advanced. What his soldiers encountered inside those fences, walking skeletons, ditches filled with corpses, the cold industrial architecture of mass extermination, rewired every man who witnessed it, permanently. But there is one particular moment from those weeks that has never been given the weight it deserves. A moment when a group of SS officers, standing inside a liberated camp, surrounded by the physical proof of everything they had done, turned to their American captors and issued a demand. They wanted better food, more than the Jewish survivors around them were receiving, even in defeat, even in captivity, even standing amid the wreckage of their own atrocities. They believed they deserved more. And then they met Patton. To grasp what happened next, you need to understand what Patton's men were discovering in those camps through April and May of 1945. The liberation of the concentration camp system was not one singular dramatic event. It was a cascading revelation, unfolding day after day as the Third Army drove deeper into German and Austrian territory. Every sunrise brought another camp. Every camp brought fresh horror. And the men doing the liberating, American soldiers from Ohio farmland and New York boroughs and quiet towns scattered across the country, men who had never once heard the names Dachau or Mauthausen or Ebensee, were being forced to absorb something no volume of combat experience could have prepared them for. The survivors they found existed in conditions the soldiers could barely articulate in letters home. Men and women weighing 70 or 80 pounds, people unable to stand, human beings reduced by years of deliberate starvation and systematic brutality to a physical state their liberators initially struggled to recognize as human at all. Medical teams arriving behind the combat units worked without pause, fighting to stabilize survivors, struggling to solve an impossible problem: how to feed bodies whose digestive systems had been so ravaged by prolonged starvation that even small quantities of food could prove fatal. This was a medical and humanitarian catastrophe, at a scale the American military possessed no doctrine for, no training, no preparation of any kind. And the SS guards and officers who had operated these camps, the men who had engineered the starvation, who had decided who lived and who died, who had constructed and maintained the machinery of the final solution, many of them were still present when American forces arrived. Some had run, some attempted to disappear among the prisoner population, some fought back, but a significant number simply remained. Either because they had nowhere left to flee, or because they believed, with the specific arrogance of men who had never once faced genuine accountability, that the Americans would regard them as fellow soldiers, that their status as German military personnel would shield them. It was precisely this arrogance that produced the moment in question. The specific camp and exact date matter less than what occurred. A group of SS officers held as prisoners of war, because that was their technical classification under the laws of war the Americans were observing, regardless of what those men had perpetrated, filed a formal complaint through the prisoner administration system. The subject of that complaint was food. Their nutrition was inadequate. What they received was insufficient for men of their rank and standing. They demanded rations appropriate to their status as officers of the German military. That complaint traveled up the chain of command. It reached Patton. Here's what you need to understand about Patton in the camps. He had personally walked through at least one major concentration camp, Ohrdruf, a subcamp of Buchenwald, among the very first camps liberated by American forces in early April 1945. What he witnessed there broke something inside him. He vomited, he wept, he ordered every American soldier in the vicinity and every German civilian from the surrounding town to come see what had been committed in their name, in their country, behind their walls. He demanded witnesses. He demanded the world see it. He wrote in his diary that nothing in his life had affected him so profoundly, and that the perpetrators of what he had witnessed deserved no mercy and no consideration beyond what military necessity absolutely required. When that complaint from the SS officers landed on his desk, when he absorbed the fact that these specific men, participants in the machinery that produced Ohrdruf and Dachau, and everything between, were demanding superior rations to the Jewish survivors housed nearby. General Patton did not draft a military memo. He did not compose a measured administrative response. He erupted. The precise words varied depending on who was present. This wasn't prepared rhetoric. It was a man confronting something that struck him at the deepest moral register, reacting in the moment. But the substance remains consistent across every source that documented it. He made clear, in language that permitted zero ambiguity, that these men would receive exactly what they had given. That the carefully supervised nutritional program, designed to coax starving human beings back from death's threshold without overwhelming their ruined bodies, was more than these officers deserved. That if they wished to lodge grievances about their living conditions, they should have weighed that concern before constructing the camps. Their classification as German military officers shielded them from certain things under international law. It did not shield them from his contempt, and it entitled them to not one additional calorie beyond their current allotment.